In today's episode of Let's Talk Dog Business, we use the comparison of understanding dog behaviour and running a successful business using a long game where there are no quick fixes.
Something you said yesterday was when we first went into our mastermind group, you felt completely overwhelmed with being in that space surrounded by loads of other business people.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to that, I'm sure you said to me at one point as well, it's like, why do I need to even do this business stuff?
I vaguely recall that.
Yeah. Like early doors in our relationship anyway. Why did you think you didn't need to know business stuff?
Because I didn't really see myself as a business owner. I saw myself as a dog trainer that had to do the business bits and pieces to get by as a dog trainer. But I never really had that many official processes or had no structure or plan as to what I did to get people or what I needed to do to grow my presence or awareness in the marketplace or anything like that. It never ever occurred to me to do that. I've pretty much relied on word of mouth.
What changed?
You?
Me?
You dragging me into these business things.
But where did that come from though? So obviously we met and I don't know, presumably it was just chatting over coffees and stuff, wasn't it? But
yeah,
I don't know then, what was it about me and presumably something I'd said or was doing then?
I think it's because when I met you, your business had a very different model to mine, a really successful model, and you were making a shit ton of money. Mm. And it made me just step back and go, how do you do that? And you were like, well, like this. And I don't know. I think I was just really shocked that the stuff you were saying wasn't necessarily things that I'd not heard before, as in, I don't know, some of the things you were saying. I kind of got them, and I knew other businesses did them. And when you think about it logically, the way you were taking someone through the entire process of working with you, right from the beginning, before they'd even started working with you, right through to finishing working with you and kind of beyond, it just made total logical sense to run a business in that way and look at all the other companies in the industries that do it and do it really successfully. But I think I always just thought, well, dog training's different. And I remember saying to you, with loads of blockers when we first met, because you were like, well, you just do this. And I was like, well, I can't do that. Mm. And you were like, why not? I said, because are you allowed? And I'm sure I remember you saying to me at one point, oh yeah, because the dog police business people are coming take you away in a room. But I think the other factor in me not thinking of the business side was when I qualified with the organisation I trained with, the business section of that qualification was so teeny tiny. I think it was a 5-day, I can't remember, it was a 3 or a 5-day kind of practical course. And the part we spent on business was an hour. And it was very much about practicalities of structuring a class, how to teach people, how to direct people, how to get people to do what you want them to do, which is all very important stuff when you've got a group of people together. And I think that the focus was so much on that.
That doesn't sound like business though.
No, this is what the course predominantly was about. Right. And then because the focus was so much on that, and because in your head as a dog trainer, you're like, well, I need to be able to conduct the class. I need people to listen to me. I need to be the authority in the room. I need to obviously have all the skills that I have, which I kind of got anyway, but we did cover a bit of practical dog training skills. But when it came to that business side of it, it was so insignificant within this course that's what it made me think it was. And so I came away going, oh, so this little portion here is what I need to concentrate on, and that's pretty much it.
Can you remember what it was?
It was margins, how to work out what your margins were. It was a little bit on doing your own books, setting your fees.
Ooh, how did you get told to set your fees?
There was a minimum amount that you had to charge.
Oh, so they gave you an idea of what.
Yes, so you had a
baseline
bit of a
should have been.
benchmark, and then you would, the advice given was that you would look at your region and figure out what you should set it as, and basically look what everyone else is doing and kind of offer the same.
Did you use those, do you think?
Yeah.
Like, were you consciously
Because
aware of it?
if you're, I like to do things in a way where it works for my brain, and if it's someone's telling me, concentrate on this predominantly, then do this thing, and those are the elements within that thing that you need to focus on and do to make it successful or make it work. And so I did everything, and literally to the letter, and kind of almost I had that very narrow-minded view of, well, this person is telling me that this is how we do it, so why should I look any further? Why should I look at what anyone else is doing, or what other maybe industry-related organisations are doing, but also external industries, because like that's like an unheard of thing. Like it was for me. I was like, well, why would you look outside of this industry to learn anything about business? And that's when I met you and we went to the mastermind for the first time, and I walked in that room, which was full of business owners from all different aspects and industries. First of all, my first thought was corporate. I just thought I've worked in offices, but I've never worked for a big organisation, a big corporate. And I don't know why I thought that, because most people in that room, give me a couple of hours and I realised most people in that room are one-man bands, or they've just got a couple of people working for them. So they're pretty similar in terms of dog trainers. And they're struggling with all the things that most people are struggling with and dog trainers struggle with. And I don't know why I had that perception. I think it was just because everything is within the industry that I'd learnt before, and I didn't see the need to look outside of it.
I find it fascinating when like we have this conversation, and I genuinely believe, I could be wrong, but I genuinely believe that people look at the two of us and arguably, and this is only my thoughts, and it may be my own limiting beliefs, but I think they look at you and go, you're really relatable to me because you've done all that dog stuff. And maybe I come across as the business type, you know, because I did the corporate job and everything. But I was still a dog trainer. But I'm still that dog trainer at heart. I think it's the mindset that you're in going, actually being able to identify your driving force. So not necessarily your mission and vision, which we talk about a lot, and understanding like why you're doing your business. But I think being aware of your own personality type as well, and what really motivates you. And I think for me, upon reflection of my life, I've always enjoyed business. And I think that's only the key differentiator, and everything else, like the dog thing, arguably just got tagged on as a new interest. But I did, you know, you have to choose your subjects at school in your secondary school. God, it's been a while.
Middle school for me.
Middle? What's that, junior?
No, middle school.
What's middle school?
Well, you got first school, middle school, high school.
So primary, junior and secondary.
Okay.
God, we're only half an hour away from each other. How is that so different?
It changes from town to town though, doesn't it?
God, I can't keep up.
We're kind of 2/3 tier in our town now, so it's even more confusing.
Okay, not even going to go there.
Yeah.
But whatever year you have to pick your choices, I remember always choosing business studies, and I don't know why. Like, do you know what I mean? Do you reckon like you're born with an innate thing of something that you enjoy?
Because that would be the last thing I would have picked.
Yeah.
No, just didn't interest me, but I didn't know about it. But I just thought business, that sounds boring.
Yeah.
Because I'm, I suppose, generally more of a creative person, and it just did not light me up in any way, shape or form.
Yeah, well, interestingly, I never actually turned up to half of the business studies. I remember actually when I went to college and I chose business studies as either the AS or the A level, I forget which one. And, you know, you get like a report card at the end of the semester, the term, whatever it's called. And I remember seeing, I think there's 46 classes in total that you could have attended. And I attended 4.
And what's the reason that you only attended 4?
Because I was working.
Oh, so not because it was not great content or anything?
Well, I was a little bit bored with it, but the opportunity to earn money was more appealing to me.
Okay, that's fair enough.
So I was doing 2 jobs, and I don't know, and then I think that just carried through. So then when I realised how much I loved dog training, when I finally fell into it, I suppose. I saw that opportunity to go, oh, I can make money for myself. So maybe I just looked at it a little bit differently. I don't know, because even though my experience was corporate and, you know, I learned a lot. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, that job didn't teach me the skills that I needed to be a business owner. They didn't go through on how you need to be mindful of your time, or your doing the books, like you mentioned, like figuring out how to be your own accountant, figuring out how to do your own marketing. And arguably I probably had a little bit more of a sway in that direction just because the role I had was marketing, but helping other large organizations. But again, like, there was teams of people doing that. That wasn't me doing it for myself. And there was big budgets involved and I didn't have anything. So I don't know, it's just weird.
Actually, that's made me just remember something. The marketing section of this course was get some postcards printed and put them in local shop windows.
Oh.
That was it, pretty much. So that's what I did. I trawled around every available post office, newsagent, pet shop, anywhere potentially I could put a card, and got them everywhere, really. And that was my marketing strategy.
Do you know what? I see the similarities here, though. Even though we've come from different backgrounds and everything, we found people in our walks of life that told us or educated us on a teeny tiny bit of that business bit, and we implemented it. And I think the key difference there as to why the success was so different was that your bit was based on look what everybody else is doing and make sure you fit in, that type of approach. Whereas mine was stand out, add a fuck ton of value, and price your services at something that somebody would go, wow, if I invest in that, I'm going to get a really good result, because you're confident in what you're selling. And that, I would say, that's the only difference. And then the journey I think we're both going on is arguably the same then, because you're learning loads of different ways how to grow your business and lots of personal development. But I think that one key factor of who do you allow to get in your head to give you the advice in the first place? And actually, you could say that's where it's really hard for every single person on the planet, regardless of the industry, because there's so many people saying, do this, do this, do this. But because you're not invested in that one person or that bit of advice, whether you're paying for them or whether it's the free content you're consuming, you're not invested enough mentally. And I do genuinely think there is something to be said about once you make a financial investment in someone, you're committed to doing the implementation a lot more. It's almost like that drive, that big kick up your backside, isn't it? Going like, oh God, this is the thing I have to do to be able to make it happen.
And it's almost, you could liken it a little bit to when you're a dog owner, you've got a dog, you've got a few problems, and you start speaking to people in the park or friends, and everybody's got a little bit of advice about their experience with their dog and what worked for them and what didn't work for them. So people hear, oh, I haven't tried that. Oh, I'll go and do that. So they go and do that for a bit, and they're a little bit motivated because someone said it worked for them.
Yeah.
So we do the stuff, and then we go, well, that didn't work. And then someone else gives them a little golden nugget of information that worked for them. Oh, I'll try that. And in doing so, we know the poor bloody dog gets so confused with all the different approaches, has no idea, and the owner is just going, nothing works. Therefore, let's compare that to business, and it pretty much is a mirror.
Yeah.
So we hear marketing, we hear AI, we hear Facebook ads, we hear all this stuff, and we're like, let's try a bit of that. That will get me some more inquiries. That will get me some more leads. That will get me seen everywhere if I just do a bit on social media and do a fancy reel. But does it long term do the job you were hoping for? Or does it give you a little quick fix? And then it's like, oh, we're back to where we were before. Because really, there's no accountability anyway. So if you just hear something or see a little snippet of something, without the continuation of that information being absorbed or anyone sitting almost alongside you to do it, or some kind of like platform you can enroll in and be a part of, like how is it ever gonna keep the trajectory in the right direction? It's probably going to fall off at some point. Yeah. And I think typically this is what we see.
Weirdly, teaching a puppy to sit for the first time And I've done it once, or, you know, like I've done it a few times, but in one sitting, one little repetition. And they've done it. And then I never have to teach them ever again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never, ever going to have to give that dog a little treat ever again for sitting because he knows it now. And I'm like, it's just not the case, is it? It's like, how many times do you have to prove that? Take it into loads of different situations, go practice everywhere, get other people involved in practicing it.
Yeah. I always remember my mum saying to me once, her dog was about 10 at the time, and she went, oh, he's just forgotten how to sit. And I said, when was the last time you actually rewarded him for sitting, Mum? She's like, oh God, I never do that. And I got a treat out and I did it, and the dog sat straight away. And I was like, he just needs a few of those, Mum, and then he's going to do it. And she's like, oh, okay. But it's that, like, how stupid is he?
Yeah. But that's what we're doing in our business. We're going like, well, okay, we've tried this thing once. And again, you can see, can't you? Because we're all guilty of doing it. Bloody hell, like if I see something like a free webinar or a free PDF that's something I'm interested in, like, well, of course, have my details, give me the thing. I want to learn and absorb it. Arguably, you could absolutely go away and do it.
Yeah, but what I will say on that is, though, that if you've got everything pretty much in place with your business and it's going in the right direction and everything is sort of laid solidly, that will probably work, because that will probably slot in with all the other things you're already doing. The difference, and I'm sure you're about to say, is...
God, I'm not leading into that. Yeah, but it is, because if your business is on those shaky foundations and you've not got all that stuff in, and then you try and put another thing in that you've not practiced enough, that you don't know what it is really, and then we go, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And now I give up and I'm going to move on to the next thing. I feel like that was a test. Like, did I get it right?
Yeah, you did get it right.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then the next shiny sponsored ad comes appearing on Facebook and you're like, oh, there's something else I could try.
Yeah. And it sounds shit to say it out loud, doesn't it? But, and again, I'm going to hold my hand up. I have been there. I am still there to a degree because it's part of my DNA, I feel, that I do want those quick wins. I'm like, oh, if I can get this thing, and if that gets the result that I'm after, awesome. And if I can get there quicker, I'll always try and do that.
I'm just going to prove that Jo does sign up to every webinar and every little mini course, because on our joint email, Jo has signed up to this thing, or Jo, your webinar starts tomorrow with 1 o'clock. In fact, one came through today. And I'm like, Jo, what are you doing now?
However, I do feel like I need you to support this.
There's a caveat with that.
I watch it and then we run it through our strategy.
Yes. It will only, do we let it in, or do we just go, oh, okay, we've acknowledged that and we're letting it pass.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
Do you know what? I can see how that could work, but not right now.
Not right now. Or it's, oh, actually, I think we are doing that already. And it's a bit of a confirmation of what we've done is the right thing anyway.
Yeah.
But it's just maybe it's from a different organisation that we haven't done it with originally. And we're like, we just need to check. Yeah. It's the right stuff. Yeah.
Being aware of like your driver and how you like to do things as well. Because if I can do something quicker, I will. But when I say quick, I don't mean shortcutting anything. Yeah. So do you know what I mean? Like, I can't articulate it very well, but if you're doing something, you're going to do it crap. It's like, I love making money as much as the next person, but I do not want to do it unethically. I do not want it to damage the integrity of the business. It has to feel right for everyone. It's that win-win-win for everybody situation.
Yeah, and we have said no to certain things before because of it didn't feel right. And it could have probably given us success quicker than we've made it happen. But we know long term, if we kind of, again, you want to project yourself into the future a little bit when you're making these decisions and going, do you know what? That could really work. Like, great for now, but is that the best long-term strategy for me? And I don't think that kind of long-term, bigger picture thinking comes very easily to a lot of people. I think it's like the here and now. Let's just live in the moment. Again, let's think of a dog, like they're just reacting in a moment. And I think people do that a lot when they're running a dog business as well.
It's a good comparison, actually, that we are like little reactive dogs, aren't we? It's like, oh, just shit, I'm going to react to the situation that I now find myself in. Like, I haven't got any money this month. Or, oh, some big organisation is telling me that I need to be considering AI. Oh, I need to go and do it. And it's that kind of pressure we put ourselves under, but it is a reaction.
But you can also see the skepticism when there's companies who say we'll take you all the way through a certain process and it's very thorough and it's everything you need. And if you do the steps one by one in a logical order, you'll get the end result. You can see why the trust is lost though, when you've got all of these kind of, we'll call them bitty courses.
Yeah.
Bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of the other. And you're doing those and they don't work because of the reasons we've already covered on here. Why would you then go, well, that's going to cost me even more money and it might not work? So you can see where that kind of thinking comes from, and the caution as well. If I'm thinking, you know, and I wouldn't have been the only person to be thinking like that. Like if you're a dog trainer that's come from, I think things are a lot better these days. I'm talking like 16 odd years ago when I did my course, but I don't know, actually. I'm just saying that, and I don't know whether it is any better these days. I would like to think so. But, you know, if there's many other people out there listening to this that are very similar kind of mindset to how I used to have, you can kind of understand they're not going to value it either.
Yeah.
Why would I invest that when I don't know if it's going to work because nothing else has worked?
No, that's a fair point, actually. How did you get over it then? Because obviously, I want to say it's different, but I don't think it is different. So, yes, okay, you met me and I'm a weirdo anyway.
Mm-hmm. The weirdo who couldn't remember whether she'd eaten her lunch or not about half an hour ago.
I definitely didn't eat it. I'm certain of it. But aside from you meeting me and, I don't know, like putting words in your mouth now, but either like feeling inspired or just like, what the fuck are you doing? Whatever it was, there was still elements that you had to do like yourself, even though I'm there on your shoulder going like, come on, do this stuff. You still had to overcome those blockers. And actually some of the stuff was a significant investment. In fact, I think your first investment into like this world, as we keep calling it, the cult that it is of business world, was about 5K.
Oh, it's a bit more than that. Oh. Nearly 6 actually.
Okay.
So that was purely on trust that you were like, we need to do this. If we're going to make this thing amazing, we need to do this. And I was like, okay. I did like think about it, Tita, going, shit, where are we going to get the money from? But we did it, and that was when we went into that very first session. This place, the other really hard thing I think with it was you were really familiar, you knew everyone already, and that's a good thing and a bad thing for me, because you walk in, you're all confident, you know about all this business stuff, you're like, hey Matt, hi, all these people like coming up to you and saying hello, and I'm like this little, and I could, do you know what, I could actually just feel myself shrinking into the background going, well, she knows everyone already, I know nothing, I'm like this just clueless person. And I could feel the self-doubt creeping in the minute I walked in that place. I was like, first of all, I didn't like it. I was like, no, come on, Vic, like, be strong. Don't be an idiot. Just, you know, put up with it. First day in a new job, it almost felt like that. I was like, oh, do I walk out? Do I stay? I was like, no. And do you know what? The money didn't even come into my head. I didn't think, oh, if I walk out, I'm going to lose like nearly £6,000 worth of money. It didn't enter my head. I was just like, if I don't feel comfortable, it would have been the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So I didn't. Obviously, I went in and the session started. I can't even remember what the very first session was that we did. And I think I just listened and absorbed and just took every little thing in. Like my head hurt so much that day. It's that absorption of all that information and the surroundings and the people and just getting a feel for everything. But I suppose I felt a bit out of depth with the language that I was hearing, because it wasn't the language. Like even this stupid thing that we've done loads of times about, is it a booking process? Is it a sales process? Do you have a sales call? And like for me, I was thinking that sounds very transactional. Like if you're delivering or selling a dog service, it's not a sale. Like that person is not a sale to tick off and go, yay, I've made a sale. That's like that discredits what you do. And so when people are going to sales and all of this language that they're using, like lead gen, I'd heard of it, but I was like, again, it's that corporate thing people say, leads and lead gen. CRM systems. I remember when I first heard that term, CRM system, I was like, I think I even maybe asked you and went, am I being really stupid? What's a CRM system? And you were like, oh, so it's an all-in-one system, da 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 da. And I'm like, I've still got no idea what it is. And you even explained it to me really clearly. And then the more I was around it, the more I heard the stuff, the more I understood it. It was like that, keep absorbing. I was like, right, okay. And I was still very much like new, because that first session was like a day. But I did feel more comfortable. I got in conversations with a couple of people in the room, like, oh, hi, you're new, and like made me feel really welcome. And what do you do? Oh, you're a dog trainer. Like everybody loves anyone that's in, the dog world, as we all know, listening. And straight away, they just, like, it just felt nice. And so like the business overwhelm, lingo, language, all the things suddenly didn't seem as scary because the people were just really lovely.
So what do you think you saw almost like the benefit of being there in a business room to talk about business and focus on business? How did you see that value playing out to move everything forward?
Do you mean within CBA or?
Yeah, I suppose so, because that's what we'd enrolled in with it, wasn't it? But arguably you could have still taken bits out for the training businesses because they were separate back then.
Yeah, we were always pretty much thinking CBA, weren't we? That was the reason we started that mastermind. Mm-hmm. And so I think it was because we got this big vision for the business, and there were people in that room so with the mastermind, just to be really clear, there's different levels of stages of business, and we were in the say the lowest one. We were in the first level, the startup group, and then there's like 3 other levels. But we were at the bottom of that startup group, and there were people that were kind of nearly reaching the next level. So they kind of done a lot of the work, and they were making really good successes of their businesses. And I suppose because we always had that vision of we are going to go beyond this group. We're going to go into the next group, going to go into the next group. I looked up to those people because I'm like, well, they obviously started where we were, and look what they're doing. And I aspire to be those people. And I could see that we could be those people in that room, and we could plan for that business to, do all of the growth it needed to do.
The value you saw was the aspiration.
Yeah.
It's those people have started where we are, and now look where they are.
Yeah.
And they're still really nice, humble, down to earth people.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing, is that they were really nice people, and really, even if they were just successful and some were like on that teetering of the 6-figure mark, they were just interested in what you did. And the beauty of the mastermind approach is that it kind of is what it suggests it is. You mastermind between each other. You get to hear each other's experiences. They put you in groups, so you're purposefully not just with each of us. And actually, we often get split up, don't we? So you're in one group and I'm in another group. And that's really nice because it kind of forces your hand, but also it's really interesting to hear about other people's business experience, and that they're going through the similar struggles that you are, but in a completely different industry. So where I thought I was completely like, it was unrelatable to me, I was suddenly going, it's the same problem, it's just a different industry. Or it's the same, not problem necessarily, but it's the same like goal they've got, but they're just in a different industry. Yeah. I just thought that was really, really valuable.
Yeah. I always think as well, and I don't know because I have no data on this, but my gut feel is in an industry like ours where it's very emotionally driven, I think, because you're working with animals and people and all of the stuff that goes along with that, I feel like business can potentially come across as a little bit
crass.
Yes. Very crass, very like, how dare you?
Cold, and it takes away from your work and your love of the dog and the love of helping the human, maybe.
Yeah. Whereas obviously we don't look at it like that. I personally look at business and business studies, if you want to call it, or what we're doing, which is all the business strategy, is if I fully understand the role that I am in, which is, if I take out all the emotion, the role that I'm in is a business owner. I own a business that delivers a service that theoretically I love doing, that I love delivering to a client to make the dog and or human happier and get them having a better relationship. Like on the surface, that's how I see the role as the business owner. Mm-hmm. Then that first step into that business world is, how do you then get that client to pay you to deliver that service? It doesn't matter what you're charging. It's like, even if it's 10 quid, it's an exchange of cash for a service.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you do any better or less because of it only being £10. And you get a few of those under your belt. And then you start to go, oh, okay, I can sell these because then that's a sale. So they're not horrible words. They're not anything like with any hidden meanings. It's simply a transaction of an exchange value. You're receiving the value of cash.
Yeah.
They're receiving the value of your service. And then you keep doing that and then you get better.
The higher the fee tends to be, the more that people look at that and go, well, that's just being greedy. And dog training should be accessible for all.
Yeah.
And comments like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of makes you go, am I being a bit greedy? Am I making it inaccessible for all? Like, is it not a fair exchange of value for money? And it does make you think twice. I totally get it. I think it makes us have those seeds of doubt in going, because it is emotive and because you are pulled in by people's pain and the dog's pain and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But the way I suppose I've like come to think of it is, for the most part, and this isn't every single case, I know, having a dog is a choice.
Yeah.
And these days people pay quite a lot of money to have a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always factored in, because you can't have the dog without having saved, potentially having saved that money to have the dog. But then there doesn't seem to be that afterthought of the training. And because it's, again, I suppose it's the public expectation that for the most part they can do it themselves.
Yeah.
And then it's only when they encounter a problem, that's when they need us. And then they go, what? How much? And that's where it all comes from, isn't it? It's not our own perception of it. It's other people's that we kind of put on ourselves, isn't it?
So when you detach yourself and look at your business like a business owner, yes, I want to help as many people as possible. And the way I think we are really good at looking at it now is that if I made everything accessible to everybody, I genuinely am going to enter a realm where I can't physically fit people in. I'm not benefiting in terms of my own mental health, which means I'm then impacting my family. I'm not earning enough. So why should, and arguably, like some people may completely disagree with this, and this is fine, but why should I have to suffer so that somebody else can get access to something?
Good point.
Does that sound really selfish?
No, I think it doesn't.
Because I was trying to compare it to, like, if you were going to go and get an air quote proper job. And because I always used to say to myself when I left the big corporate one, I was like, do you know what? I can always go back. I am super confident I could go back. I could probably go back now. Whether or not I'd be any good at it now, I don't know. But I could go back. Or I could go to, like, everybody jests about, oh, you can just go and get a job in Tesco's, couldn't you? Have no idea what the going rate at Tesco's is, or in that kind of establishment. But again, like, arguably, you look at those businesses and somewhere like, in fact, most supermarket brands, if you look at it, they'll have their own brand of food, won't they? They have the
Tesco's budget, like, value.
But that's the one I was looking for. Like Tesco's custard creams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love a custard cream. You've got that. So arguably, yes, that caters to all. And then you've got like your Fox's biscuits, which might be a slightly more expensive custard cream.
Version, the finest biscuits.
Yeah, there you go. But is it your job or your responsibility to determine, A, who can afford what? You have no idea what that person's circumstances are. You have no idea if actually they just value things differently. Like, over that lunch date we've just had with my elusive croissant that disappeared, I wanted a drink and I went to go and get a bottle of Coke. And it was like £2.50. And I was like, how much? How much for a bottle of Coke?
And then you picked up a box of wedges that you didn't actually want and went, ooh.
Yeah.
And how much were they?
But I really wanted the Coke and I didn't buy it.
How much were the wedges?
I don't even know, like £1.30.
Yeah.
Ish.
So you could have had half a bottle of Coke.
Could have had half a bottle of Coke. But again, it's like, now if you was to look at my bank account, there is definitely more than £2.50 in my bank account. So I could have paid it. I couldn't not afford it. I just didn't want to spend £2.50 on a bottle of Coke because I didn't see the value in it. Arguably, again, like if somebody happened to be in that shop, which was, again, would be completely random, but if they said to me, like, why are you not buying it? And I go, I can't afford it because I'm not paying it. So would they then go, oh, well, we're not being very fair to you then. So should I discount it? Should I give it you for £1? I'd be like, I still don't want to pay £1. Well, what do you want it for? Like 50p? Brilliant. Now I'll have it. I can afford it now.
But the rational part of that story is they're never going to turn around and discount it.
Well,
aren't
no.
they? So
No.
let's.
But we do as dog trainers.
But we do as dog trainers, and we feel sorry for people, and we kind of go, yeah, we need to make sure you can afford it and they can afford it. And
so the way I look at it as, again, if you detach yourself and you look at yourself as a business owner and go, right, in order for me to help you, if you genuinely cannot afford my services, then that's absolutely fine. But I'm not going to discount it. However, you could go to, I don't know, a part of my website where I've got some free information on some basic stuff that you will be able to go and consume. And if you start implementing that, go and do that. Join my free Facebook community group where we go in there and we give away stuff. You give the value on all the air quote basics or the bits that should be a bit more value added in the giveaways. Because ultimately people just want help. They want and need help with the implementation. It's not necessarily what you're going to tell them. You could spend like 2 hours on the phone, using that sit example, which would be a bit weird, but you could spend 2 hours on the phone talking them through how to teach your dog how to do a sit because they can't afford your services. But is that actually genuinely giving them any value?
no. And it's usually when they say they can't afford it, they don't know enough about you to know whether you're the right person for them and whether they trust you and like you enough and all of that, which is a whole other podcast episode in itself anyway. But
I wanted to have this conversation because it's had me thinking lately that business is a journey, the same way as you learning about dog behaviour is a journey. You don't just do it once. I mean, arguably you might do that course once, but you're still trying to apply it most of the time. You're having conversations with people about it.
And we get frustrated that dog owners want a quick fix. And yet, look what we're doing as business owners.
Yeah.
We want a quick fix.
Yeah.
Exactly the same way.
Yeah. So if you're investing any time, energy, money into a quick fix approach of, oh, get me some more leads. And again, I've been there. I did paid ad campaign and just went, oh, get me some more leads in. I don't mind paying because theoretically, if I make more off of it, I'm in. But what I found was I was attracting all the wrong people because I hadn't done all this other work. So they were never going to buy from me anyway. And then the ones that did buy, I was like, oh, don't even really feel like they're the best fit.
Not a right fit.
And I could have made that work so much better, but it was a quick fix option. And arguably, I wouldn't say it fixed it, but it got me some cash coming in. But I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't happy in those few months. But it got me some cash. And again, this is where I think if you know what your driving forces in your personality and what's going to make you feel successful, because again, I think success is deemed differently to everyone. And that's another thing I really like about that mastermind group, and also what I think comes as part of that negative perception about business is that it's always only in it to make money. And arguably, yes, you are. If you're not in it to make money, you're not a business owner. You're an employee. Go and get a job. And I know that sounds really harsh, but you can't be a business owner if you're not thinking about making money.
Yeah. But the bigger picture is you're doing it to help people.
Yeah.
And if you are a genuinely, like, you genuinely care, which I'm pretty sure that you all listening care, then it won't feel like you're just in it to make money. And the people that you work with won't feel like you're doing it just to make money.
You get to have these amazing relationships, and then it gives you a bit more freedom is something that everybody wants. The freedom to work when you want. And if you want to work a lot, like we've had this conversation, haven't we? Or people have turned around to us and said, oh, so, actually, I think our husbands are probably good examples of this. So I genuinely believe there is a deep-seated thought in them somewhere that goes, oh, once you've hit, I don't know, like a really big figure, you won't work as much as you are. And I'm sorry to tell you, Darren and Gareth. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. We're going to work differently, probably.
Work differently.
Because it has been very much like all hands on deck for the last few months.
But it's that freedom feeling of going, actually, no, I can choose to do what I want. I can work as much or as little as I want. Yeah. I can afford my time differently and go, right, do you know what? Maybe I will give myself a whole day off and do something differently here. Or it gives you a bit more flexibility.
But really, if you really, really, truly love that business, it should never feel like work anyway. No. So if it feels like hard work, if it feels like a massive chore to you at the moment, the love has been lost. Yeah. And we need to get that love back for you.
Yeah, needs reigniting.
Yes.
Mm. So what would your top tips, if you will, maybe it's not even a tip, but your thoughts then on people's business journey?
I think open up yourself to learning from all different sources. The things that you may not think matter are important. The work, let's face it, the work you do at the beginning to lay those foundations, they're not sexy. They're not really exciting. They're not, although actually I would view that they are exciting because it's kind of the driving force behind everything. But people may deem it as like, oh, and we do get sighs sometimes and like, oh, I've heard this term before, or I've done this before. And but genuinely, like,
I feel like I need to just tag on to that though, that yes, we do get that response. And then literally the next time we see it, they're like, oh my God,
I get it now.
I've never done it like that before.
Yes, definitely. So it can feel like they've heard it before, but trust the process is what I'd say as well. From people who've been there and done it. And this is the great thing about those business masterminds and the mentors that we've got is they've been there, they've done it, they've made the mistake. They have got the t-shirt and they are there to show you, if you do this way, you'll skip a whole load of trouble. And there's always going to be bumps along the road. We're not saying that it's ever a smooth sail, but, you know, just look up to people who've been there. Surround yourself with the people that are going to make you bring out the best in you and help you grow.
It's the long term. It's not a part of a course that you do.
Yeah.
It's not something you do once and it's done. It's you keep doing it every single day. You carve out time every single week, every single month to work on your business, not in it. Because without it, that's where we're getting burnout. That's where we're getting people leave the industry. That's where we're getting people say, I can't attract any clients because you're not working on the business. You're too busy in the delivery. And I know that sounds really easier said than done. And we know it's not. It's fucking hard work to get out of that. And it feels like the world is caving in on you at times, going, I just can't physically see how I've got time to do all of this stuff.
I used to feel such guilt if I wasn't doing the work in the business.
Ah, I never knew that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't surprise me now I know you, but play the long game, but make it part of you so you enjoy it. Because it's really fun.
It's really fun. Who knew business was fun?
Thank you ever so much for joining us on today's episode. And if you enjoyed this, please do give it a share and see if you can help somebody else with their business.